Hi everybody, welcome to the garage. How sweet it is to be here with you. Pete's here, Gary's here. Gary, when you say to me, tell everyone to press subscribe or something?
If they bring the Court of Public Opinion up on their computer.
The Court of Public Opinion on the computer?
Yes. Underneath where the screen is, where you're pictured, is a series of buttons. And there's one that says subscribe.
Okay.
Every Tuesday and Thursday, I can't get rid of you.
God bless you. So I pop up every Tuesday and Thursday if you do that. Now here's a thought, a strange thought, but then I have those. Wheat makes beer. Corn makes whiskey. Grapes make wine. Potatoes make vodka. Juniper makes gin. Can't get drunk without the farmers.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Farmers.
Speaking of farmers, all these greenies who want us to grow our own fuel. Here's another thought. If we put, I'm told, every inch of farmland to growing canola or some other biofuel, we would have fuel for 25% of our needs and no food to eat. Go figure. They don't think these things through. And by the way, I don't know where this comes from or why it comes to mind, but do you know how many bananas we eat each day here in Australia? Anyone want to guess?
I always have two. I do.
How many, Pete? 5 million.
How many?
5 million bananas we eat a day here in Australia. The #1 best-selling product in our supermarkets, and they contribute $1 billion to the economy.
Next to toilet paper.
Bananas. It wouldn't be bad being a banana republic, would it?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Ask Mr. Keating.
it is a strange world when a journalist asking hard questions of the Minister for Energy becomes the news. No, it wasn't what Chris Bowen said, but what Liam Bartlett, the journalist, said. He became the story because it was such a novelty to hear a Labour minister being asked a couple of hard questions, which, by the way, Chris Bowen couldn't or wouldn't answer. Has the government considered, as Liam said, with the anxiety, even the chaos thrown up by this Middle Eastern war and lack of preparedness, our lack of preparedness? He said, I take it that you will be rethinking your policy on renewables. Well, that is not news, that's common sense. The very question that we've been asking here in the Court of Public Opinion in the garage for I don't know how long. But good for you, Liam, for standing up and doing it. Renewables, an expensive and unnecessary nonsense with no logical response from the minister because there isn't one. But on the fuel crisis, it's impossible to believe, that the United States and Israel did not consider how vulnerable the world economy would be if Iran decided to close the Strait of Hormuz. A pressure point, a choke point, which would give them incalculable power to call the shots. A very valuable bargaining chip, an ace in the hole. Why didn't these sophisticated, gifted strategists anticipate this? It's pretty basic. You don't break in the front door without making sure you got the back door covered. Ben Roberts-Smith, in a public statement, his first since his very public arrest at Sydney Airport, he described it as a sensational and unnecessary spectacle, saying, I have never run from a fight in my life. Sir, I believe you, and I think there are going to be many people in your corner when the time comes. Hang in there, kid. Unemployment figures out, steady at 3.4%. The Reserve Bank is still expected to hike interest rates next month. It's a no-brainer, really. well, it's 75% sure, something like that. We know what we can't do in a car these days. Just about everything. Can't do anything. Touch your iPhone. But it's amazing what people can and do in their cars. I mean, you see people reading the paper, you see people putting on mascara, you see people putting on their makeup, having a coffee. It is interesting. But listen to this. Cirrus, S-E-R-E-S. Cirrus is the name of a new Chinese electric SUV. It's a new brand, Cirrus. I guess that's the way you say it. They have invented a waste disposal unit that slides under the seat so that you can go to the lavatory on the move. Holy Thomas Crapper!
Holy Toledo!
It is true. What would he say, Thomas Crapper, I mean? It's got to be a very good line here.
Upstaged.
I mean, what are the ads going to look like? You know, the series Constipation. No, Constellation. Constellation. Why? Why? Anyway, it's a fact. I wouldn't lie to you. Speaking of cars, the Variety Club Bash in New South Wales has been going for, I don't know, 45 years, I reckon. Yeah, something like that. Dick Smith started it, much loved, raised millions for children's charities over the years. It's been canned for the first time this year because of the fuel shortage. And really, you know, there's fuel out there. The farmers are going to need it probably more than the charity collectors. But the collateral damage is a problem. Those little country towns love the bash and the money and the activity that it brings to outback Australia. Anyway, back next year, but off this year. A fascinating conversation on insiders on Sunday morning. I'm drawn to that like a moth to a flame. There was one Osman Faruqi last Sunday from his company, a media company that he calls lame streaming, not mainstreaming, you understand, lame streaming media, which is clever. He was arguing that we are spending too much money on defence, health and education and social services, he says, are much more important. Fact, national security and defence are the most important priorities. Just ask the Aboriginals. If you can't defend your country, you're going to lose it. Nothing else matters. Anyway, I put that out there. I don't think anyone on the panel came up with anything like that, but that's not surprising. The government finally admits that the NDIS is out of control. Just ahead of the budget, there will be a fascinating discussion at the National Press Club in Canberra on Wednesday of this week. Tomorrow. I can only imagine it will be foreshadowing cuts to various NDIS programs. But in their crazy attempt to please everyone, even the fraudsters, I gather, we will probably be confronted with more smoke and mirrors. Anyway, they want this out of the way before the budget. No doubt, we'll have a lot to talk about on Friday around the dining room table. JeremyCordeaux.com. Give us a ring. 0491 65 68 60. And this one too might be a good topic. Consumer sentiment says we're miserable. Miserable. A sudden drop in public confidence, similar to that occurred in the pandemic. It's not good, but I suppose it's understandable. How do you feel? Do you feel miserable? Have a think about it. Call me Friday. Our sponsors are a fine family-owned South Australian company, Rossdale Homes, with their experience, reputation, and their famous fixed-price contract. It makes building your first home or your dream home an absolute pleasure. rossdalehomes.com.au. Now, you would have seen the refinery fire in Melbourne, the Viva oil refinery in Melbourne. It supplies half the fuel used in Victoria and 10% of that used in the whole nation. They process 125,000 barrels a day, or did. The company is in a stock market trading halt, and this is done in case the investors rush to the doors. It's an understandable precaution. Not quite so understandable is how relaxed and comfortable we are about our vulnerability. Seems extraordinary that this event is an Australian first, an unprecedented refinery fire. A coincidence at this time? An equipment failure, they say. Strange. You would think that, considering what happened in Geelong, security around our last refinery in Brisbane would be immediately tightened. But it hasn't. Go figure. But they are saying that they'll have the refinery in Geelong back on stream pretty quickly. Our Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was knocking on the door of Malaysia and Brunei. There he was on the 7 o'clock news on the ABC in Brunei, saluting the Sultan and all the rest of it, securing a reliable source of fuel for us. God bless you, Albo. Very good. Wouldn't you think that Albo would have been wagging his finger, his green finger? What are you doing taking this evil stuff out of the ground? Well, we now want to benefit from their common sense and their wisdom and their foresight and their enterprise. This whole thing is so enormously stupid. Here we are in Australia with abundant energy, oil, gas, coal, uranium, yet we're running around the neighbourhood begging for these smarter countries to help us meet our energy needs. Does it strike anybody as ludicrous? Bizarre? Australian values. Australian values will be the centrepiece of the Coalition's immigration policy. What are immigration policies generally? How do they sink in with a clause that talks about Australian values? We could debate that for a while, but I think it will resonate with the electorate. It's there already, you know, Australian values. It's just not practiced. The Libs could just promise to apply the Australian values clause in our immigration policy. There are a few other things we need to be the good sovereign nation that we are, independent and thriving. We need urea. This is fertilizer, which is so important. Our factory, I understand, was closed down by Labor in about 2022. I've got no idea why. Never heard a reason. We need a lot of fertilizer to produce our agricultural wealth, which is immense in this country. But you can work up your own list of things that we should do. But my list is as follows. A program to fast-track gas and oil exploration in every state in Australia. We have to cut red tape and green tape and Aboriginal objections to just about everything. We're all in the same wonderful boat called Australia. And if it wasn't for our wealth, I don't know where the Aboriginals would be. I don't know where they'd be. We need at least 3 or 4 modern oil refineries. Scrap the Paris Climate Agreement, that net zero thing. We need to go back to being self-sufficient. We've always been self-sufficient in this country. We need to scrap the last elements of the Lima Declaration, which stripped us of our industrial and manufacturing base. We need tax incentives for those people who want to get out and have a go and build and create the industries and the employment of the future. That's so what we need. We've got some time for dates?
Yeah.
Okay. Dates. Happy birthday if you're having a birthday. It's the 21st of April. This is Thursday, I'll put that over there. 21st of April. Oh, that's a nice one. 1926. Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, country's longest reigning monarch, 1952 to 2022, was born in London. Died 2022, but born this day in 1926. In 753 BC, Romulus and Remus found Rome. How would they know that?
Over there.
Well, who wrote it down?
Like pizza place. Wrote it on the wall.
Maybe. Anyway, 1652, Secretary's Day is celebrated. Secretaries are wonderful people.
Well, yeah.
They are. I mean, most chief executives could not do the job for which they are highly paid without their secretary, although they call them PAs today. Secretary's Day is first celebrated, known today as, oh God, Administrative Professionals Day. Oh, what nonsense.
Caroline, did you hear that?
1952. This day, happy Secretary's Day for the first time. Maryland, oh, this is interesting. Maryland Toleration Act was passed in the American colony on this day in 1649. This is the Tolerance Act, allowing freedom of worship for Christians, but sentencing to death anyone who rejected the divinity of Jesus. That doesn't sound very tolerant.
It doesn't sound very tolerant.
Ah, well, there you go. There you go. The tiny principality of Hutt River, previously Hutt River Province, secedes from Australia. It remains unrecognised by Australia and other nations, but they don't give a fig. They're quite happy. 1970 was the year. 1970. Alexander Douglas patents the bustle. Why in God, how would you sell that? Now, to be an elegant and beautiful woman, you have to have this whopping great thing sticking out of the back of your crinoline, out of the back of your dress.
It's popular again in the US. Big things that stick out the back of...
Well, I think that's a natural consequence of Big Macs and things like that, you know.
Booty has come back.
Well, booty, but that's sort of God-given. This was man-made. Why? But why would Alexander Douglas patent the bustle for women and not men? Why wouldn't men have a bustle, a thing sticking out of there? Why not?
That's too much information.
I don't know. Seems strange to me. Alexander Douglas. Was that his only claim to fame? Patents the bustle, 1857, and it takes off like a rocket for some unknown reason. Ashes of psychologist and author Timothy Leary and Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry launched into space orbit on this day in 1997. Tony Danza, American boxer and actor. Taxi, he was Tony in Taxi. The Tony Danza Show, he was Tony in that. Who's the Boss? He was Tony in that as well. Born Brooklyn, New York City on this day in 1951. Haven't seen much of him these days. Pope Francis, head of the Catholic Church since 2013, the first Jesuit priest, dies at 88, succeeded by Pope Leo XIV. 2025. German World War I fighter ace Baron van Richthofen, Baron Manfred von Richthofen, otherwise known as the Red Baron, is shot down and killed over the Somme in France on this day in 1918. He made it almost to the end of the war. Canadian pilot Arthur Roy Brown is credited with the kill, but that's disputed. It was an Australian who said he shot him with his .303.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, well, a lot of people were out to get the Red Baron. How much time, Pete?
Well, not a lot.
Catherine the Great, German-born Empress of Russia, who expanded the Russian Empire. She was born in 1729. John Adams sworn in as the first US Vice President 9 days before Washington. 1865, Abraham Lincoln's funeral train leaves Washington. 1878, the First Lady Lucy Hayes begins the egg rolling contest at the White House lawn, which is still going even these days. Rolling down Easter eggs on the White House lawn. Oh, okay, one more. Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley's first hit record, Heartbreak Hotel, reaches #1 on this day in 1956. Thank you so much for being with us. We thank our sponsors, Rossdale Homes, and we look forward to your company on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock when Pete will post our edition for that day, and again on Friday with our live streaming show Round the Dining Room Table. Thank you for viewing. Believe in yourself, and the court of public opinion will return thanks to you.